PandaStrong podcast, where we interview Canada's top female amateur to pro strength athletes to empower women to train and compete for strength sports. I'm Stephanie. I'm owner of Destiny Dance Studio and Productions. I'm the artistic director of Defy Dance, which is a dance education company for people with disabilities. I'm a certified group fitness instructor, currently third in Manitoba Strongman and Scottish Highland Heavy Games athlete. And you can follow me on YT and IG if you look up Sick Stephanie or Fantastic the Dancer. So today's episode is about keeping your New Year's resolutions. January just finished. Now it's February. How are you going to keep up your goals and keep your game strong? And our guest, our amazing guest, is the one and the only Sam Burry in the house. I don't have to say her last name because everyone knows who she is. Because she's so fabulous. You need a song, man.
Yeah, I do. Yes. Yo, what's up? And it's actually pronounced Bellevaux. I just it's funny that you say that because my last name is quite hard to pronounce, especially I guess in English. And I just got asked there to go in Georgia for the Circus Dumbbell World Record, and there's this great marketing thing that came out, and I don't know if you noticed how they wrote my name there. It's quite funny, but
I did actually.
I told Max that I was going to make a statement this year and make sure that people knew how to say and spell my last name.
No, see, the thing is, I'm really good at last names because I used to work in call centers, especially if they have an accent attached to them. I just pretend I have an accent and I go with it. It's very
exactly. I did the drive-through when I was a kid, and I do the exact same.
Yeah, you're like supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, but it's a name. No, I thought you were going to tell like that. My homie back in the day in the hood, he lived on Bellevue, so I was pretty sure that's how it was. But I'm not French,
Sweet.
So I was like, oh, I better avoid that one. So, anyways, you can follow Sammy Sam on her IG at
Sam Bellevaux.
Yes,
and there's 2 U's at the end.
And her website for her awesome gym and coaching strength fitness business is
Maximum Strength Performance. You can follow us on Instagram or Facebook.
Yes, do it up, man. So, anyways, we want to thank you guys for listening in and, listen till the end for exciting news, tips, and stay tuned for her real life story of how she entered strength sports. So, like to thank you, Sam, for being our awesome guest today. So
thanks for having me.
For all our viewers who are just like listening in and not watching her YT video, she's on a freaking bicycle.
Well, I am. I might as well, if I'm going to sit my ass here and talk to you, might as well do something about it, get my hamstrings activated and grow some legs.
See, man, this is how you separate the pros from the AMs. Like, she can't even, it's like 9 o'clock at night, and she just woke up, and she's like, I'm going to get on a bicycle.
Damn right. Little power nap after training, and then boom.
Bike. You know why cats have 9 lives? They live so long because they nap.
Same with
bears.
Damn, I got to get on that.
I'm telling you, napping and fasting, that's my like trick. What do you
Damn, I look at my dogs all day and I'm like, dude, this is like your 10th nap. Like the life of a puppy. Poop, eat, and nap.
That's my baby. I'm like, must be nice. And then I finally fall asleep beside him, and then I move and I flinch and he wakes up and I'm like, not a bitch. And then I have to rock him again. And I'm like, fuck. That's the best thing about being single, people, is you get to sleep whenever you want.
Yeah.
So if you're single and you're training for a strongman, sleep.
Yeah.
So speaking of strongman, Sam has an amazing background. And what makes her really interesting is how she got into the sport. It's a really cool story. We're going to talk about it. But how fast she excelled to a pro level, and how, she was just a hockey player, and all of a sudden she's a gym owner and has she went from bodybuilding to powerlifting, strongman, which I was saying on our last show that seems like the sequential way to do that, and she did that. So we're going to talk about how she's had success in such a short time. She's currently Canada's second strongest woman, which is amazing. And she's also the Canadian CBB record holder at 163. Is that pounds or kg?
I wish it was kg, honey, but it's pounds.
Oh, okay. I thought so.
I think in kg, that's way heavier than the boys.
No, I know. That's not thought, but I never, you know what I mean? Like, she's the thing is, if you watch the videos, it's a possibility. If you see her list, when I met her, came to Strong Comp out here, and I was like, I just stared at her. She's like a goddamn robot. She came in there and just like, oof, oof. I swear to God, there was even no like breathing or bracing in between. It was just down, up, and
that was such a fun comp.
Oh my God. She did like 20 log press reps. And I'm like, where
Yes.
the fuck are you? And like everyone else was like lying on the ground. She's like, I can't. And
This is the first comp that I can actually say that I did. My logs weren't clean and pressed. They were all snatches.
Oh my God. She's amazing balls. So anyways,
That was fun.
I like balls. Just kidding. I said so much.
I was so sore the next day. Like, give me a heavy comp and like, I'll feel great. This show, could walk the next day.
Well, yeah, with what you were doing, beast mode, like even the guys, you put the men to shame. Like I was like, what'd you guys eat last night? Pizza? I don't know what the hell she ate, man, but it was definitely not gummy. She's a freaking robot. It's like she just got infected in like power suits, like superhero. Anyways, I was like, so right after she was done, I went after her and I'm like, why? Who are you? I was like, and I creeped you on Facebook, confession time. And I looked at her. And so when you guys see, I'll post it on here, her before and after pictures, it's insane. She was a skinny little blonde girl. And then she's just full on, I'll punch you in the face, take you down, beat up any man. And so she's also the Canadian log press record holder as an amateur middleweight. And she also has numerous records in the CPF division in the 181, 198, and 198 plus. And like she said, she's heading to Georgia in April to attempt the world CDB again. And then May 8th, she has a actual Canadian clean and press record attempt. And her man, who was also Strongman, they both, open up a gym and run it together. So I want to know, Sam, what made you pursue competing in the sport of strongman over Olympic weightlifting or powerlifting?
So 5 years ago when I started, so quickly just before, so I was given a job as a front desk, right, receptionist and tag scanner at Good Life. That was the first time I've ever stepped foot in a gym. And then you're like obligated when you start there to do at least 3 sessions of PT. It's like, what the fuck? I don't want to do this. I'm just here to scan cards and fold towels. Anyways, sure enough, I got hooked on these 3 sessions. And then I started training with a trainer there, told me that I was really, really like strong from the get-go. I had a really good base. Also comes from 18 years of hockey. And then 3 months after, like, I was done with him and he was like, there's a powerlifting comp in not too far. You should go out and see what it's like. So I went there and shortly enough, like I was in multiply within, I think 6 or 7 months. I did my first multiply comp and I got hooked to the multiply. Did a couple raw comps in between, but my last multiply comp, I did 606 squat. And then I benched 365 and pull 500. That was my biggest total at 181. And then afterwards, the nationals amateurs for strongman were coming into New Brunswick, and that sport's really not big in New Brunswick. So they needed a female to represent. We had 3 or 4 guys, but they had no females. So they asked me, they're like, you're pretty strong. You think you can do this? And just go wear the New Brunswick jersey and rock out. I'm like, all right. Anyways, looked up at the events. There are some that I remember reading, and I remember reading, like, there was 5 events and 3 out of 5, I had no idea what it was. I had to YouTube it. Here I am going into a comp in 4 weeks, don't know what the yoke is. So I YouTube it and I was like, okay, well, I can squat about that, so I should be fine. And then the next one was Husafel stone. I'm like, well, I can pick up stuff. I should be good. And then the stone, I'm like, I can sumo deadlift. I'll be fine. Sure comes that comp in New Brunswick. I think I managed to squeeze like one little strongman comp before just for the experience. But then I got to national and boom, got hit in the face with 5 strongman events. I remember the next day, the 2-hour drive home was, I probably whined the whole way. I was in so much pain, bruised from the Atlas stones. And anyways, I just fell short of the podium there by half a point. And I got to say that half a point of the podium lit a fire up my ass. And sure enough, 365 days after, I got back on that, went to that comp in Quebec following year and won everything. I finished first. I was the number 1 female amateur that year, got my pro status that way, and felt like I deserved it. I worked my ass off for a full year. And then 2 months after, did my first pro show, won that pro show. So I felt like I made a statement being like, it wasn't a little glitch that I won my pro status. I really deserve to be here. So yeah.
Well,
that's how I got into strongman.
A lot of times you see people, this is going to sound so bitchy, but I'm just as critical of myself, people. Okay. But I feel like you can tell a lot by someone's training videos, you know what I mean? And it's about consistency, and it's about, that's the biggest thing, right? And going hard to the wall, balls to the wall every single time. And that's how you can achieve things in a small amount of time. But the thing is what I've noticed too, just in the way you're talking about it, is it was accidental, in the sense, even though you worked hard, like you weren't sitting there thinking, I can't do it. It wasn't, you never explored the possibility of not, achieving some of their plans. You didn't overanalyze or overthink that, right? Like you were just like, I want to fucking do this because I'm strong shit and people think I can do it. I think I can do it. And I'm just going to fucking show up, show out, and it's going to happen. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah, I remember writing a goal not too long after that comp where I fell short from the podium, and I was like, because like I'll do it once in a while. I'm not really big into, writing your goals weekly. That's kind of something I need to get into habits of, but I do once in a while write down, like, I want a 450 this, and I want a 5, like once in a while, and I'll just write it in my agenda. And then just for like an extra, like written down means more of set in stone for me. Right. And I remember I was like, I'm going to win that comp, and I worked my ass off. I also had no strongman gym to train at, so had to drive 3 hours to train 3 hours, and then come back home. So I had to go out of province to train. Yeah. Which was,
see, like, I have so much respect for that though. Like, I never even knew that. And
thanks.
That is amazing, because like, I'm not trying to talk about me, but it's like, as a mom, I feel like that just to get out the fucking door, like the amount of things to get done to be able to leave my kids to go and train. And so like, I have so much respect for that, because it's not like you're just like, I just want to go to the gym. Okay, I'm gonna leave now. Right? So your whole day, your whole week is prepping for it. And not everybody's willing to do that. And especially in, Canada, where it's still an emerging sport, you might have to do that. If you're a new lifter, you might have to build your own equipment, drive far, or use alternative.
You got to get out of your comfort zone.
Make it work. Yeah, no one's gonna do it for you. No one's gonna fucking bring it to you. Like, if you show up, people will come beside you. But if you don't decide in your head that it's fucking on, it's not gonna happen for you. It's as simple as that.
And there's a lot of things that that's so freaking true. Like, just an example to top that off, I used to be an I-1 operator. So I would work shift work. So if the boys were meeting in Halifax, which Halifax was 3 hours away from Moncton, if the boys were meeting on a Saturday and I worked a night shift on Friday, guess what I did at 7 a.m. after my night shift? I would drive 3 hours, work out 3 hours, drive back 3 hours to nap for about, I remember, 45 minutes an hour, and then go back for a night shift. Like, this shit just had to be done. And like you'll sleep tomorrow, like, because it's either you sleep tomorrow or you miss out on a full training session, and then that just doesn't get you that much closer to your goals. And then a lot of people will say, oh, well, lack of sleep. Yeah, but I'll sleep tomorrow for it, because a full day of training for me is just, a full day of training missed for me is just doesn't get me into a good mindset. And then you go into your Sunday and a Monday, and then you're already behind.
Yeah, you're just like pooping the rest of the week. Honestly, what I've noticed between like, entrepreneurs and people who do strongman or like elite athletes, it's a very similar mindset, right? It's like, and I said this since I was a kid, because I was an entrepreneur, like at a very young age. I knew that's what I wanted to do. My family are all business people, so that was my influence, right? There was career too, mostly all small business owned, and I was just like I would rather die than work for someone else. And my only regret in life is if I know I can do better and I don't fucking do my best, and I just made a joker of myself. Someone else could be high-fiving me, but if I know that I could have reached a higher thing if I just didn't fuck around in the gym, right, then that's what hurts me. And also, like you said, you can sleep anytime. People are like, oh, as a mom, that's the biggest pet peeve, is people say things like, oh, aren't you tired? What about your kids? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking tired. And yes, I have to meet my kids' needs, but you know what? Like, my kids are not going anywhere. We'll be with them for the next 20 goddamn years. And I personally don't want to achieve nothing in that time frame. It's like, once you become a woman and you have kids, you're just supposed to just sit around and do nothing. Like, what is that? Like, why can't, it's like, I don't understand, especially like 2021.
And then I have clients that have no kids and work 9 to 5, and they'll still complain about working out at night. But then I have the strong, independent women, single mom of 3 kids that is about to step on stage or about to do a powerlifting comp and crush some world records. And I'm like, it's the difference between who really wants it and who wants it just for shits. I don't know. Like, ego, there's a huge difference between ego lifters. There's also the social media lifters. Like,
oh my God, yes.
Right? But there's all. But you know what? To each our own.
No, for sure.
To each our own, right?
There's
like,
a difference.
Whoever wants, it's just at the end of the day, I hope that you have achieved what you want.
Yeah.
Whatever your self desire, hopefully that you're doing it for yourself and not for anybody else or anything else.
Because at the end of the day, like, time flies and you can never get it back. And when you die and you're getting sick and fucking old and you can't do the things you want to do, not just for money, because your body's aging or whatever, you're going to regret it if you just didn't do what you could have done. You'll never get your 20s back. I'm not saying that you can't achieve things at a master's age. That's not what I'm saying, people, because you can't. But what I am saying, though, is if you get sick and something happens next day, all you're going to think about is all the opportunities you didn't do. It's better to try and go out and
fail.
And fail than to sit and fucking accomplish them. I would rather be teased and made fun of and be a professional fucking failure at things my whole life than to sit on my ass, eat cake, and watch Netflix. What is that?
Couldn't agree more.
Like, if you're born and you're given, to me, if you're born and you're given the opportunity to, like, you have legs, like, you're not severely disabled, you have opportunity, you live in Canada, like, go for it.
I tell this to everybody, like, you have 2 legs, 2 arms, you have a brain, it's all functionable. You got capabilities of achieving what you want. Like, I think genetics goes a long way, but someone with the worst genetics can still be top of the world, just how much they're dedicated to.
Well, you're a prime example of that. That's why I really wanted to interview you. And that's just like when you talk about single mom, Hilda Siegel, our first guest of the premiere show, like, single mom, and she started doing all this stuff. And that just amazes the shit out of me. And, you know, like, I've always had this expression since I was a kid. It's like, if there's a will, there's a way. And no one can fuck with your own will. That's the thing, is we're unbreakable. We're our own, like, you know, worst critics and worst enemy, right? Because so it's like, no one can really fucking stop you. Like, at the end of the day, you need to get injuries and, like, the show gets canceled or some shit goes down. Like, there's always a chance for a comeback. And I think that's the biggest thing about this month is people are like, oh, you know, in January I missed a couple workouts. I only went to 3 out of the 6 classes, but you still went. You still started healthy steps into the right direction. So keep fucking going. You know what I mean?
Yep, 100%.
So this leads right into our next question. So as a lightweight, before competing, and now you're, you know, competing as a middleweight.
Not a lightweight, not a middleweight. No.
Before pictures, before you were athletic, before you were buff.
I was 160. My smallest. So when I started competing, I was 165. Yeah.
Well, I didn't know
middleweight.
That.
Almost, actually. No, it would have been a hard cut to a lightweight. But I was a skinny little bitch, if you don't want to call me that.
Okay, well, cool.
No hamstrings, no glutes.
Okay, your shirt for our store will say, "Don't be a skinny little bitch." No, people get mad.
My thing, though, as a coach in here, when I start screaming at my clients, it's "Don't be a little bitch."
Yeah, don't be a bitch. Yeah, okay, so that's with your shirt.
But no, okay, back to your question. Sorry.
Back to my question. So, how did you gain so much muscle mass in such a small time frame? I definitely think, like you said, the 18 years of hockey made a huge difference, like, because that's compound muscle, and people understand that. The thing is, any sport, if you're doing it for a long time, is your muscles going to get leaner if you're not doing heavy cardio. So it's like you don't have to necessarily be super bulky to be super strong. You know, that's an illusion.
Exactly.
Especially with strongman, there's a lot of, like, lightweights who will join a higher weight category and then whoop some ass.
Yeah, no,
right?
Exactly.
So,
I've always had a really like, I've always been built, like, to my smallest as an athlete, I was a 165. But then I kind of slowly went up to 181, got some records over there. And then slowly I was making my way up. At one point, it wasn't healthy because I was, like, putting weight to being able to push or lift more. And I had that mindset at the beginning, which is fine, right?
Yeah.
But then I got to my heaviest and I wasn't recovering as better. I wasn't moving as fast, right? So, and I was still at my heaviest. I was still a light heavyweight. So I was still competing against women that were quite quite heavier than me. But mentally, when I got to a point where I was like, you know what? I am going to get as strong as possible. I'm going to eat all, like, my diet came to a factor, my recovery, everything. I wanted just to dial in everything and see what the athlete in me had, right? So then first COVID, the first lockdown hit last year. And that's where I made a big change in my body composition. With no work, I had to really cut down on food and, like, the takeout part. So I had to meal prep all the time. And that's when I prepped for my first bodybuilding show. I have obviously a fair amount of good genetics, but I think that if there's a way, there's a way. And I busted my ass and I've worked. I'm not going to take that away from me, where I've trained twice a day for almost a year up to leading to that bodybuilding show. And I've gained an amount of lean muscle mass, which was great. And now that I am post bodybuilding show, I can see that in my training, how everything just feels better, right? I am able to move better. Now I'm back down to where I'm back down to a middleweight weight, but I think I still want to everyone's asking me, are you going to compete middleweight this year? And I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to compete with the big girls. It's a big roster, and I know I can do it. So weights are coming out for big comps this year, and I really want to prove a statement where it doesn't matter what your body weight is. If you have goals, right? Go play with the big girls. Go play with the best in the world.
And vice versa. So I want to like comment on a couple things. So I can relate to you on a lot of levels. Like when I started doing bodybuilding, it was when I was like just getting my fitness certifications, the YMCY, and so like a lot of volunteering, I was working all the different departments because I really wanted to like manage the Y, but that didn't happen. So anyway, I moved on and started my own business. Moving on. But yeah, so when I was same thing, and I was like a size 4'6", and I'm 5'9", and I was like 180, and I remember like doctors being like, you're like, your BMI is your beast. And I'm like, you're stupid. Like, where am I going to lose fat from my brain? Anyways,
really?
Like, yeah, it was ridiculous. But I want to test some things you said. It wasn't COVID lockdown, but I was low income because I was like, I think it was like 19, 20, and I didn't have a lot of money. So what saved me was meal prep, and I only ate what I could afford in those meals. And I couldn't have portions of second portions. There you go. Like it that controlled my weight, and I was like, oh, if I'm still hungry, I need to like eat lettuce or like water, and it just gave me that self-control and self-discipline. And then I got bored, and but being a dancer for so long, my whole entire life, I can honestly say that dance and bodybuilding and like you said, building up that foundational strength over a long period of time, building those auxiliary lifts, making sure that you have body count, it takes time, and people just want to always lift heavy. They don't want to do cardio. It's like, if you want to last in strongman, you have to do
you have to stretch, you have to do your cardio, you have to like,
for sure. And that's why I think for me, just like you, when I hit strongman, why I was able, like, I had no barbell training. I started like I'm not even shitting you, a 60-pound deadlift. And I, having kids, okay, so I'm not shooting you. Having kids, I would sometimes not hit the gym for weeks because I couldn't, my kid was sick, or I would be, and I was working all the time too from home running a business, but I'd sometimes get to the gym 2-3 days a week. Whereas when I was a single, right, in my 20s bodybuilding, I'd be like you at the gym twice a day, 6 hours, and I was doing like 20K biking or walking everywhere on top of that. So my point is like, because I built that strength for that long period of time, that when I did strongman, I was only there, a couple days a week. I went from a 50-pound to 250-pound deadlift in a year. Natural. So there's something to be said about consistency, putting in the fucking time, balanced lifts, and not fucking around. Why do you have to go balls out and hit PRs, right?
Exactly.
That's what I was talking about when you were talking about earlier with the social media difference, right? Like, I know I'll lose followers because I'm not posting 20,000 fucking videos, but I don't post. I'm not always recording myself at the gym because that cuts in my gym time. I'm focused. 100%. I'm doing what I gotta do. And the only time I post a video is if I honestly am proud of that lift or if I actually see progress. I don't post shit all the time. And I'm fine with that. And like I said, to each their own. But to me, to each their own. But for me, I don't really care. It's not about the fame, right? Like, at the end of the day, if I'm inspiring people, that's good, because I want to help people who are in a situation. But it's about what it means to me and about the long-term goal. Like, I don't like
it's always, it should always be about you. I feel like it should always be about you. The second you start doing something for someone else, and this is gonna sound selfish, but
no, it's true.
Fuck, like, you're your own human. Like, I moved 2 years ago. I moved 36 hours away from home. It tore me apart. Like, I'm very close with my family, very close with my sister. And you know what? Like, I had to be selfish and be like, what do you want to do in your life? Okay, you want to be an entrepreneur? Like, I've always wanted to have a gym. I met the love of my life. So it's like, I have to risk it all and see, because if I wouldn't have had risk it, right? And then, we all do. Everything you do, it's for yourself. Yes, as entrepreneurs and as athletes, me and Max, we still train together. But when it's his time to train or it's time to squat, we focus on him, and then vice versa when it's on me, right? So it's really fun. It's a blessing to have a partner like that. But
you're so lucky.
Yes, and then also, like, let's say he wants to have treats tonight, right? But I get to do my own decision and be like, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm gonna go with you at the store, but I won't get anything because right, different goals, different
I
approach,
totally,
like, so you have to be selfish and be very true to yourself. At the end of the day, being true to yourself is the best thing that you can do. Whatever you're doing every minute of the day has to be because you want to do it. If you hate your job, quit your fucking job. You don't like your friend, your circle of friends, well, get rid of it. You don't like to go out on Friday, Saturday nights, you don't have to. Like, those are things that really people need to start, like, focusing more. And that's what COVID did for me. It was like, all right, Sam, you and you go, like, you can make or break. COVID was a make or break. We open, we now own, well, once we'll be able to open, but we have this own, like, our huge fucking gym now. We made this through COVID. because we busted our ass every day. Yeah.
Well, you know what I mean? A lot of times people understand it's like a recession is actually the best time to start a business, but that's a story for another day. But to comment to what you're saying is like, you know, you have to be willing to risk it all. And I don't care. Like through this whole journey, I have literally cleared out my entire Facebook list. There's literally, and family. I actually just blocked, and it sounds harsh, but a niece of mine yesterday because she was saying negative shit on my post. And like, I don't even talk to any of my husband's like family on Facebook. Like they're all blocked because they would always fucking talk shit about my videos. And I'm like, you know what? I don't care what you have to say because you know you're not doing any of the things I do, and that's fine. To each their own. But this means something to me, and this matters to me. And if you think I'm neglecting my kids or that it's wrong because I'm a mom or whatever, I don't care. I don't even need to know. You're done. And the thing is, it's like I don't belong to you. I don't belong to anyone. Like even my kids, they don't belong to me. I don't belong to them. I have a responsibility as a parent to love and guide them and take care of them financially and their needs. But at the end of the day, like you said, you're your own individual human. And actually, that's I noticed that a lot on groups with lifters, especially new lifters, women who are married, a lot of times boyfriends, but a lot of times it's spouses. And it's like, you know what? I said to my husband many times, like, if you never not like me because of my physical looks or if somebody's strongman, you can fuck right up. It's called child support. I don't care. Like, I don't care. Like, you have to take care of your. I know it sounds so horrible. Like, I love him. Like, I need to say that, but it's just like I'm tired of this whole like this alpha gender role conflict thing. And you know what? You know what's ridiculous because there's people like you, right, who have a spouse and you're happy and it's working and it's functional. And it's like my husband, he's not a dancer and he's play sports, and people would be like, why are you guys together? Because we're polar opposites. I would say I'm fire and he's ice. He's a Scorpio, I'm a Sag. But because of that, he helps me calm down and I help hype him up. So we have art in common. So that's our bond.
That's so true though. Like you always, like people will always say like opposite attracts, right? But like the second you find the same fucking person as you, like exactly identical to you, it's like, okay, like, right? Like go with your gut, go with it because this is it. This is right. Like no theory out there can ever be unbroken or unsaid or right. There's always a little like science is science 100% proof? No, there's always going to be something else that could be added or I really believe that opposites do attract, but they're the oddballs.
I always wanted someone like people, but like it always makes my husband mad because people always like, I'm really surprised she's with a white dude because I was thought I married like a black guy because I do like hip hop and land dancing and I'm like, what's up on me, baby, beat me, ooh, sexy time. But you know what? It was like, you know, he took care of me, he protected me, and he was there for me, and I didn't have to explain myself. And I just felt like I felt like when I was dating, it was like I was always having to audition or hide my alpha female side or hide my entrepreneurial side. And with him, it was like he let me be me. And even now, he lets me be me. He never judged me or says mean shit. And that means a lot to me. And it actually really hurts when people say like, oh, like you wear the pads and your husband's a beta. And I'm like, you know what? You don't know anything about a relationship. Like, you know, shut your face. I am pretty dominant, but I do give him the space and time, you know, to be dominant too. It's a balance.
No, it's so true. Yeah.
So on this subject, it leads into our next question. So you and your significant other are both strongman pro athletes and coaches. So I just wanted to know more about the training programs that you're currently offering in your gym that relate to strength sports, whether it's strongman, powerlifting. What is it that you do specifically? Because I mean, you got to pick a breath. A lot of people know about you. So for the people who don't know about you yet, tell us what you do.
So we have our gym now. We've been offering strength classes before COVID, and it's kind of just like starting up. It's little now, but we do like the little family we have because now we get to control who's in and out. We all want mind-liking people. So when my background, right, is powerlifting, Max's background was bodybuilding, and then we both did our strongman by our own. And then once we got together, we both had the three aspects, right? Other than the weightlifting, which is something that we don't think we need, or we didn't, not yet anyways, right? So we put our programs together. We've come out with what works best. See, as a powerlifter, I was like, I think we need this more because I have a conjugate style. So I've worked with the best in the world. I've worked with Laura Phelps and Gracie V, Brian Carroll, and even like Louis Simmons, right? I've worked with the best, and I know what works, what doesn't. I've trial and error. And then Max has done a lot of bodybuilding show. He knows what works for muscle growth. And then as our strongman, we introduced our strongman to all these aspects. So we do have our lower bodies. We have our up back days. We don't quite have a chest day. It's more of an upper chest shoulder day. And then we have our events day. So, and then we've been doing that for 2 years. We have a lot of online clients. It's work phenomenal. We've just at nationals this year, we've had, I should have write this down, but we brought back home, like, I think it was we brought 3 pro card. We got like 6 podiums and about, I think, out of 10 athletes or so that were at nationals. So that was a big bang for Maximum Strength Performance this year. It just shows that our program does work. We currently are working, finally. Max has never really worked under a coach, and I kind of convinced him to get a little bit of tips here and there from another coach. So we gratefully started working with JF Cotton, which is the Canadian strongest man 9 times now. He just finished 3rd at the world. So we are really blessed to be in really close contact with JF. JF has working with us very closely on our weaknesses, deadlift and yoke. We both need tremendous help there. And I think this is just to seal up us as athletes and make us that much better this year and the following years. So our training program does involve a lot of volume, but it's really based out of a performance athlete. And I think any new lifter that are just beginning could benefit so much out of this, right? It's a 5-day training a week. And if you're not a strongman, you can back off and get another rest day or an arm day, right? So we're very flexible, but our theory and our program really does work.
So I wanted to say a couple things. The difference between strongman powerlifting and the training programs. In my opinion, you need everyone's different and you should have a customized training program, but you definitely need like your 3 compound lift days, your 3 auxiliary days, and an event day, or at least 2, accessory lift days.
Yes.
And I think that's really important because endurance. So I always say it, and I believe it 1000%, because before having my sex kid, I was a competitive dancer, and I did partner dancing, and I played the dude, and I would lift girls that were like my weight. So I say to people, resistance and motion, right? What's heavy? Is the ball heavy when it's moving? Yes, it's way heavier. So for like deadlifts and certain events, I encourage the shit out of people to start partner dancing, even if it's for fun. It'll challenge your grip. It'll challenge your ability to hold on to things and work with resistance and really, feeling odd objects in your body at different angles. I highly recommend that to somebody who's really struggling with like angles, really do it. It's worth the money. I don't know, what's available in different areas of Canada because I've only been to so many places when it comes to dance, but I recommend looking into that. So going more into detail, what about your diet and meal plan? What do you follow currently? Like what do you do, like keto, carnivore? How does it work for you? And what are some things that like, dieting hacks or meal prep or things that you do to balance everything?
So I eat a lot. I eat so much. I would like to know exactly, actually, I just got on a new plan there I work with Will Agnew. He's from Thunder Bay. He's one of Max's best friend, and he is phenomenal. He really reads your body like into pictures and knows like where, if you're lacking in what, and he makes sure that you are fueled. And that's what I am right now. I'm a performance athlete, so we make sure that I'm fueled. I eat a lot of everything, so much vegetables, so much meat, so much potatoes, rice. And if I eat a lot, imagine how Max eats a lot. So imagine what our fridge looks like.
Oh yeah, for sure. I want to articulate something though, because I feel like people understand like you have to be able to do the right kind of carb, because you do have to do endurance with strongman, powerlifting, but you can't do a 0 carb, low carb diet if you do heavy lifting. It's gonna make you.
A lot of people have done it. I think for me, it's fuel. Like I need fuel. And if I'm not a aesthetic athlete at this moment, like for the next whatever, like that was different when I was doing the bodybuilding. But honestly, Steph, like I was eating up to 2,000 calories at to like 2-3 weeks out of my bodybuilding show. That's how hard I was putting in the work in the gym on the cardio, how well my body responded. There's girls that go on a 1,200 calorie deficit already at like 18 weeks out, right? And I was up to 2,000 at a couple weeks out. So I had like a really good prep, but right now I'm about to perform. I'm working on world records and Canadian records and possibly like some big shows in the fall. So I just want to fuel my body right. That's it. Right. Like right now, obviously, I think I'm not concerned about looks, but I think that goes a long way when you do eat well and you do train hard. But I really love to eat for performance.
For sure.
I eat a lot. I eat so much. I'm probably up to like 3,200 right now.
Oh my God. You know what I'll do is like, I'm not even ashamed, man. Like I just eat bowls of meat, and like tonight, like I had a taco bowl, and it's like, I just filled it up with ground beef and just like put Asiago and cheese and sour cream on it. And I was like, yes. And that's, for me, dairy is my, I know, right? Man, like literally food is love. Like when people come over, I'm like, let me feed you. We'll fall in love.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and you have to
Like
be
I
like,
love
and to eat
food,
clean,
man.
you have to be a chef, man. Like
You
Max is
do.
phenomenal at cooking, so everything doesn't taste bland. And like I enjoy all my meals. I look like usually like I like to have like a treat once in a while. Like once a week, I'll have a meal where like last night we had frozen yogurt and pizza. And you know what? Today I felt like shit, and I was like, oh, fuck. But it was good at
Bread
the
and
time
meat are
being.
not
But I
good.
mean, it's
Yeah.
Monday, it's a new week, and I'm like so motivated to eat good all week and train
Yeah.
hard as hell. Yeah.
And I prepped my chicken tonight. I went to fucking, you know
Good.
what? I went for a walk. I went to the store. I prepped my chicken for the week. I prepped my beef, and I'm good, man. I just have to cut up vegetables tomorrow and shit. But I do like fasting on Sundays, and I call it full fat Fridays, and I just do like nachos or
Oh,
tacos
nice.
or something just delicious, and then I go hard on endurance the next day, so I'm gonna burn it off, right? If I'm doing
Yep.
strongman events, I'm going cardio like yoke walks and farmers carries, and
Yeah.
then Sunday is more like fasting, and that's when I do like my deep tissue work and like lighter foods, like not really salads, you end up drenching it in dressing, but
Yeah, but
lighter food, and just I'll have like a big brunch, which is just meat, just different types of meats and eggs, and then I don't really eat much in the evening, and I just water kind of fast, and then I feel good when I wake up Monday morning. So I'm like you, it's like for me personally, like I love bread because I grew up on it, but like, oh god, like smell bread and shit happens, but it's like I know that it's gonna regret. Oh god, bread, like
bread is the French.
I have moments. That's my cheat. Yeah, I know, right? And it's like I sing a little song like, baby, when I get this feeling, I need some healing. And I'm just in there like having sexy time with the bread. Not naked, dirty people listening. So anyways, bread.
Oh yeah, I'd be down. Bread, like even just toast and butter. Like give me some.
Oh my god, peanut butter. I'm
peanut
not
butter's
lie.
good, yeah.
Especially bodybuilding, just with a spoon. I just sit there with a jar of peanut butter watching a movie, and a little bit of honey on top. Ooh.
I've ate the full fucking jar before. In one sitting, no joke. Yep.
Oh my god, to one
yep.
time.
I can't have peanut butter in my house.
No,
Ask
me
Max.
too. And my
like he'll go in the jar the next morning and be like, "What's this? What is this?" And I'm like, 2 a.m. munchies. I'm sorry.
Yes. So one time I was dating this guy.
I was sleepwalking.
Yes.
Sorry.
And one time this guy came over and we were dating, and it was like by my bed, and I had like my spoon in the peanut butter jar, and it was open. And he's like, "Did you just fuck this shit out of that peanut butter last night?" And I'm like, "Yes." Anyways, we never had a date after that. I think I traumatized him. And I was like, "You're a bitch," because real men like peanut butter. God.
Real men do like peanut butter.
That scares you away, really? Anyways, yeah. Fellow peanut butter. So I know what I'm getting you for Christmas. Just send me a big ass jar of peanut butter. Just finally the world's peanut butter. Yes. You're making me hungry. Stop it.
Yeah, me too.
So anyways, food. Seriously, all I want to do is hang out with people like you and like lift each other, like just practice lifting each other, like and running, like turn each other into sandbags, and then just eat food and nap.
Yes.
Like that would be like if we were roommates, that would be like that's all I would do with you.
That's something, yeah.
Fantastic. What were you gonna say?
That's what me and Max have right now, which is phenomenal. I honestly cannot wait to have my gym family back. But having my boyfriend, best friend, partner, it's just fucking perfect. We're about to celebrate actually our 2 year in 2 weeks. It's pretty badass. I know.
Anniversary to you. So you're just in there with a peanut butter jar in between you and 2 spoons in it. Put your dogs in timeout. We're on a chat, anyways.
I know.
Back to the next question. Do you prefer to lift raw or supported? I remember when I saw you, I'm pretty sure you're wearing a belt and had lifting straps. But
yeah, and I used to be a multiply lifter, so I had like wraps before and a deadlift suit. I had a squat suit. But the more now I do have support. Like I always have belts and stuff. Bless my sponsor for the best gear. But I mean, like I am with sleeve. I think that's pretty raw for me compared to what I used to lift in. But I enjoy to go as far as I can without a belt, and then I'll put it on when my core needs it.
Yeah, I am
like that. Yeah.
I think a lot of people, the reason why they get injured, I want to hear your thoughts on this, but is because instead of like training their body properly, like from a bodybuilding standpoint, like said accessory lifts, they just do heavy lifts and they don't learn they don't get into the body, learn the motion right, and then they just strap on a bunch of stuff because they see everyone else doing it, and that's when they get hurt. So I feel like if it starts to hurt when you're raw, then you're probably getting pretty close to your 80-90 with a belt, and so you need to take it slow. And I think there's something to be said when you first start out to do higher reps and like lighter weight until you're really solid in your motion, and then add lessen the reps, heavier weights, and supports. I don't know. Do you agree?
Yes. No, I agree. It's funny how when I first started training, right, I went straight into multiply, and I had a bench shirt on like 85% of the time, and I had briefs on and wraps, and I remember when I took a step back and I was like, I don't even know my body as an athlete. And if I want to do this in the long run, like I can't go out and squat like 585 and 650 in the gym every week and briefs and stuff. Like I can barely do 2.5 plates raw. Like that didn't transition well. And then when I took a step back of multiply, I really started to learn my body and how to use. That's where when my body composition definitely changed. Is when I started lifting raw. Yeah.
Well, you know what? I had an epiphany because I'm tired when I go to the gym. I'm a late night trainer, and I'd be like, I feel naked, and I'd realize after I record my video that I, didn't put my belt on or my straps or something, because I take them off in between sets because it just like this bugged me. And I don't know, just it's a mental game thing.
Yes.
And then I realized, just like you, I was like, you know what? I don't have a freaking clue where I'm at, and I need to stop. So now, just having a baby in a C-section, I said, I'm not going to make that same mistake. I'm going to do the lift slow. And I was going to say too, is like, there's something to be said for the IG lifters who are doing the booty bands and sitting there and just slow motion moving. I think more people need to do stuff like that.
100%.
Like not in the long term, but slow motion the shit out of yourself. You know what I mean? Control the fuck out of the weight, because especially with something like log, where I won't.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I really hurt myself, and I was lucky because when I was doing overhead press and I overheaved it, and there was a bench right behind me. So if I would have landed backwards, I would have been dead. I'd probably would have broken my fucking neck. And that's when I was like, okay, don't fuck around. And so I stopped and I bought a bunch of books and watched a bunch of videos, and I just was like, I didn't care. There's around a bunch of dudes and they're like, no girls allowed, or like, that's not even heavy. I didn't care, because I was like, I don't want to hurt myself. I need to go
exactly
home.
That is so true.
There is a danger to it with strongman. There's a danger with it.
100%.
So, like,
I was talking to that tonight. I'm like, if you don't have a broken back, do you even do strongman?
Are you even like, if you can walk more, like, are
after you even... like, when you do like rack pulls, stones, yoke, like all in a week, when your SI are just like, I've had enough. That's how I felt tonight, and I was like, woo. But it's important to it's very important for new lifters or injured athletes and even advanced, like, you don't need to push your 80% plus every fucking day. It's super important for you to take a step back, work on your technique, and then get better. Like most of my, like when I moved to Thunder Bay and my clients were coming up to me, my newer clients, they're like, oh, I can deadlift 3 plates. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then I was up to 2 plates with them, and it was all back. And I'm like, all right, this is our starting point, 2 plates. And they're like, what do you mean? I can pull way heavier. I'm like, but this is not the right form. And with bad form, you will be maybe able to add about 10-15% on your lift every year, but then go take a step back, go back down to your 60%, work on your proper form, and then you could add 15 to 25% on your lift every year. Huge difference, right? That's one thing. Like Max and I are super strict about form. Like everyone that trains in our gym, like, buddy, like that's ego lifting. Leave that at the door, right? Yeah. Super important.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. A lot of times when I see videos, I'm like, there's no way you're PRing that often. Like there's just no humanly way with that amount of content. So you're either doing significantly less and all of a sudden just going balls out just for the video, which is stupid too, because you can hurt yourself. It's just not an accurate reflection of where you're at. And who cares what your rep, and like I said, if you're powerlifting, great for your 1 rep max, but you shouldn't even be playing with that like close to competition. So I feel like, you know what I mean? Like you just have to go back to the basics of like listening to your body and going, go with the flow, man. And it's like, who cares? Like really, who cares? Like, unless you're, you have specific goals and like you're trying to go worlds or you have to be last time, but it's like your body is, even if you're doing all the right things, it's sometimes just not going to want to be pushed the way you want to push it.
And you got to find out. It takes a long time. Like I've only been lifting for about 5 years, and I'm still learning about my body. And like I'm still going from week to week, flat shoes and lifters on squat. And I'm like, how the fuck can I figure this shit out? Like I don't know what's comfortable for me anymore. And like now I'm like back into my lifters just because I think like, oh, my ankles were tight, and my like boom. Just loosen up my ankles, I'm back into my lifters, right? And you got to learn your body. Like I had no hamstring, as you've seen in my first pictures, no hamstrings. I had a really good deadlift, but I was all lower back. The second I started growing hamstrings, sorry, they're playing. The second I started growing hamstrings and doing proper squats, proper box squats, all of a sudden my deadlift now, last year I pulled 535, right? Like I went from a 225 to 535 in 4.5 years. Like things that you have to do. And I took a step back. When I met Max, he broke down. He crushed me at first. I'm like, I remember calling my dad and being like, he's harsh boyfriend. But you know what? He knows what's best for me and he wants the best for me. So took a huge step back on all my lift. And now I'm building. You need a good foundation because a pyramid, just like a pyramid, right? Your top is only as solid as your bottom. And it's super important to have a solid foundation on just how much you want to grow.
I love that shit. That's really good, man. I don't even know I have anything to add to that. It's well said. So I'm just gonna go to no.
Yeah.
So anyways, so we're actually kind of asked the question already, but you know, what as a coach, what are some of the most fundamental exercise you start with your new clients from the bottom up? Talking about a triangle pyramid here, girl. So what do you start with the foundation bottom?
Sorry, can you just repeat that question real quick?
All right. So pyramid, triangle, building the body from the ground up, proper foundation. What are the foundational exercises that you start with?
Exercise. So always box squat. I find that's a really, that is my go-to. Also because I have a conjugate background. So what box squat is, right? Everyone nowadays has a bad lower back, bad knee pain or hips. And then especially with the knees, because everyone just out of a sudden, this 40-year-old woman that's never ran in her life is going to go run 10 kilometers. Babe, for real. Thank you. Sorry. So, you know, everyone's just doing stupid shit on their knees and their hips all the time. We're sitting down. We're all desk work. Most of them are desk workers, right? So bad hips, bad knees. Anyways, I can see when I have a new client coming in, I can tell them, you're a desk worker, your posture's shit, right? Just things like that. Totally. So break it down to basic. I find box squats are phenomenal because they build amazing hamstring strength, and they also transition really well to your deadlift. And then for deadlift rack pulls, you don't start all the way from the floor, right? Just because people tend to, well, it's a really hard compound. So these two are really, really great. And then after that, you do have like whatever you have access to. I'm very fortunate. I have a V squat machine, which is really great for for your lower body, and you can do lunges and squats on it. Like just things like that. You got to keep it simple, stupid. Oh yeah. Everyone, we still do the simple stuff. Dip belts.
If you have a squat rack, you still on a squat rack or booty bands and kettlebells. Like there's ways to alternate that if you have a V. But I couldn't agree more, especially because it really works in the pelvic floor muscles. So women who've had kids, I can't understand. And because I've been a dance instructor choreographer for, you know, going on, I think 13 years now, it's same thing. And it's not harsh. And I used to personal train people as well. Is when you look at somebody, you can tell a lot about them and the way that they move. And especially the moment I dance them for 3 seconds, if I'm touching their body, I know exactly everything that's wrong.
Exactly.
And I'm like, why are you getting offended? I want you to not be in pain. I want you to have a better, healthier life. And people don't think like dance is hard as fuck in terms of endurance and strength because dances are lean. It is. You don't know what you're talking about. And every athlete, male or female, could benefit from dance training.
Oh,
not just,
fuck yes.
Especially if you're single, because if you're a dude and you got moved. But I'm just saying in general for sexual health. No, but this is a fact. They've researched it. Like samba dancing and certain specific like belly dancing for women, our pelvic floor and our pelvic core, it's not about how, you know, belly fat. That's another story. That's another subject. But I'm just talking about just in those specific muscles that run across, and I can't think of them right now. Too late, people. But that's what I'm trying to say is like those things you can actually isolate, especially with the V squat machine, like you said. So I think those are like people like I don't like doing the core. Zerkers are great. Zerkers are fucking great. Don't neglect that.
Really good. No, things like that. Like when a client comes in for the first time, I won't throw them under a free squat. I'll never put them under a yoke. I'll never. But you know what? I've seen it. I've worked at gyms where first day in, their clients never squat in their life, and they're like, "I'm gonna test out your free squat." That is for me. That is the dumbest thing that you could do.
Stupid. Yeah.
Make them body squat. Make them okay. Now, can you sit down on a chair and come up? Nope. Up. That's where we're gonna start. Box squats.
Yeah.
And but that makes a difference between keeping a client long term and cutting it short. So with that said, you just have to make sure that. Like you got to know nowadays, like people's lifestyle are so lazy. So everyone's hurt. Everyone's got a bad this, bad that, right? I can't squat. My doctor told me I can't squat because I have bad knees. That's bullshit because your squat form's shit, right?
Because of my disability, same thing. It's like at the end of the day, this is when I say in every person I've interviewed, it's like, it's non-negotiable. You have to do your deep tissue work. You have to. Period. End of story. You have to do your stretches pre and post. And you have to focus on your weaknesses, not your strengths. Because you know what? I'll tell you something. People like the strengths and they can post videos. That's what I'm trying to say. Is fuck that shit. If you really, none of the pros do that. No fucking pro does that. If you really want to grind and get there, you have to actually work on your weaknesses and your mobility shit. It's gonna bite you fast at some point. Either you're gonna get injured, it's not gonna go far. So it's like, so on that was actually my next question. So what is the biggest mistake new lifters make, and what would you recommend new lifters and experienced lifters do to stay consistent in the strongman training? Like what are habits or things, workouts that I'm sure you see on social media feeds too, that you're like, what the hell, man? Especially looking at people's bodies, like, why are you doing that? Don't do that. Like, you know, like you mentioned some of the things like avoid yoke, which I agree. So
yeah, yoke. And like, I mean, you see it quite often, people maxing out on yoke and stuff every week, or people maxing out on their squat or deadlift. Like, just don't, like, people take an ego lift back, like step back and like focus on, like, it's good to focus on your weaknesses, but you got to make your strength stronger. And also, for me, my New Year's resolution was to like mobility and stretch. So for Christmas, we got some electropods. I do that every day. I just, on January 1st, I joined ROMOD, which is like a 20, 30, 40 minutes a day. You get a yoga session. I do it every goddamn day. Things like that, where like a new lifter should really be considering of not just going into the gym and slamming some weight. It's not about a 405 bench. I'm talking about the males, because that's all they want to do is, I want to bench 4 plates. I want to bench 4 plates. No, right? So it's about doing your accessories. Like, a lot of people are like, okay, let's say this is your program and your main lift squats 5 times 5, and you 5 whatever. Your last sets of 5 was not what you wanted. You're like 40 pounds of what you had in mind, and all right, that's okay. You've put in your work. Now go crush your accessories, because your accessories are there to complement your squat. So then next week, you can be there where you want it to be. Yeah. So I am huge on accessories. Like, my main lifts, yes, 100%, I'll give her and I'm focused. But my accessories are where a lot of people can't keep up. Like, I'll do like Bulgarian squats with like with the safe squat bar with like 200 pounds on my back, or I'll do step ups with, I think my max step up with the SSB was 315 or 305. I don't even know if I can fucking squat that, like things like, you just got to work on your accessory. No, I can, but you got to work on your accessories. Like, things like that are important. Be smart, obviously move up. But as a new lifter, you just gotta, don't focus on the main lifts right away. Focus on the little tissues, stretch, get them stronger, right? Sleep, eat.
What people don't understand is that by default, when you're stretching, that you're actually increasing the muscle fiber elasticity. So it's like injecting superpower into your muscles, and you're guaranteed.
Oh, yeah.
That. And like, if you are super crazy strong on your weakest lifts, then you don't even have to worry about your other lifts. Like, really, you just fucking train them at a base level, and you'll be like, bam, holy shit, I'm hitting PRs, and you're not even like paying attention to it. So, yeah, and I mean, that's what I'm trying to say about dance. It taught me is like, you have to get into every little single muscle, because every little, flick of the finger, every little thing, even an inch makes a difference, especially when you're competing. You know what I mean? So, yeah, there's definitely something said for that. So anyways, what advice and tips do you have for people who are struggling with their New Year's resolutions due to the lockdown, in terms of positive and negative habits? I mean, a lot of people, I'm sure you've seen it, I've seen it on Facebook Marketplace, it's making me laugh. Like, people definitely bought a lot of themselves, they came late, and they're trying to sell them for 3 times the price. I'm like, hey, dumbass, the stores are now open, no one's going to buy it for that price. So like, what are some recommendations you have? Because I also feel like I see a lot of people that just download these fitness apps and watch these videos, and I see girls in the gym, especially when I used to go to commercial gym, and I'd be like, dude, why are you doing that lift? And then she's like, my trainer told me. And I'm like, who the fuck is your trainer? And I always go back to the same question. What is your long-term goal?
Yeah.
Even if it never happens and you change it or quit it, it's like, because your whole specificity training, sorry, I can't say that word right now. Specificity.
Don't ask this French one to say it either.
You need to know that answer. And so it's like, because there's so many movements that you can like a million different ways. So it's like, why are you doing this? And ultimately, anything you do should be because there's a weakness. So it's like, if people are like, well, I just want to get skinny and fit, I'm like, well, that's so general. Like, we just want to like slim down in body composition. Well, then just lift some light weights or walk or bike or swim. You know what I mean? Like, what do you want? So, it's really easy to make excuses because of the COVID lockdown. Like, I wanted to be training when I was pregnant, and I couldn't get any equipment until after I had my baby, and it sucked. It totally affected my ability to give birth. It sucked. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to let that shit stop me now. So anyways, what are some tips or advice you have for people who are in that boat right now? They're like, fuck, like, I don't know if I can keep this up.
So,
mental health is a big part.
So I actually wrote, I don't know, like it was like a week or 2 ago, like I did a post about it. I'm not someone, like, if you've noticed on my Instagram, I'm not really sentimental. Like, I don't go out and like write 80 paragraphs per post. This is what I did tonight. Felt great. Hope to inspire someone out there. And then the next day, like, I'll post a selfie, but it's like, it's not like, it's not, I won't write paragraph. I'm not really sentimental anyway, but I did post a big one the other week, and it was about New Year's resolution goals, about it's okay not being able to have, so you don't have the equipment right now. It is almost impossible for people to go either at a gym or to financially have the money to buy equipment, right? So we're not in control of that right now. So what you can do about it is get something else, like do something else. You want to read and be like, get ready for when we reopen. So self-motivate yourself, read about bettering yourself, Stretching is free. You can do it in your living room. Out. Get out of the... Sorry, we got a new puppy and he loves the big one and the big one doesn't like it. And Jake, please. Okay, and so I really and I say this to all my clients. Okay, you're home, you have one band. Okay, but you have some cans of soup. We have this we can work with. We have chairs, things like that. I know, and it only goes a certain way. Like I can't put myself in their shoes because during COVID I couldn't go to a gym, so I built a gym.
Well,
but not everybody has that. I know not everyone has that mindset and ability, right?
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
So I'm like, set yourself other goals. Don't write this year that you want to squat 300.
Yeah.
Wait until it reopens. But something else. I want to get better in my range of motion, or I want to have more time with, like, spend more time with my dogs, or like yourself, your lover, right? Like there's other goals that you are able to control. Things that we cannot control, there's no use of putting energy towards it. Totally. Because then you're just breaking yourself.
And all of those things ultimately lead to better mental health, and better mental health equals a higher chance of you being successful in like pursuing fitness and physical exercise. So the other thing too is a lot of people realize is, like you said, you can either make your own equipment, but there's a lot of homeless bodybuilders and people like that who just train on the streets. You don't need if you're not like wearing -40 winter peg, but like there's a lot that you can do just using outdoor like objects and trees. I mean, really, but you have to be really self-motivated for that, obviously. But there is a lot of free workouts, like I said, online. So if you have like a water jug or like a 4-liter milk jug, you can fill with sand and turn into something that you lift. And you can buy resistance bands online for super cheap. But like you said, you can't. And I know that I from being a dancer, I know that I can get the same full body workout just using body weight. But I know most people that have mobility issues or like it takes a certain level of motivation to do that. So obviously lifting weights is fun, right? And that's why people are attracted to it. There's that kinetic aspect. So like you said, for me, I always recommend dance and yoga because there's a million benefits to it when it comes to increasing your lifting game. So if you're going to do something, do that.
Yeah, exactly.
You're totally interrelated.
My New Year resolution was to do stretch every fucking day, or do it as often as you can, twice a day, whatever. And it's helped tremendously with my lifestyle. I'm very fortunate. I have all the equipment, but I don't have my gym family. So people are like, oh, you're so lucky. And you have all this, but this is the difference between your $40 membership and me investing thousands of dollars in my garage. So there's like, I know financially not everyone is able to buy things, but if you look at the end of the day, well, now that you're stuck home on a lockdown, are you drinking every day? Well, then stop drinking and save your money.
Exactly.
If you're buying more coffee now because, you're sluggish, well, cut down on your coffee. It's like, I can call out people on their bullshit all the time when they say, oh, I can't afford it. Like, you have a lot of expenses that are useless to your life, like towards your goals. If your goal is this, got to make sure that everything that you're doing towards your goal is worth it. Right? So...
Well, my family always raised me like, you wear your shoes even if they got holes in them, and then you fix the holes and you wear them until you can't wear them anymore. And I feel like our generation needs to stop being so consumerist. And I think that lockdown is that. Like, if you want to learn and be creative, you don't have to leave your house, especially now with digital age where everything, like I said, online books, there's access to everything. You could learn and read about
everything.
You can break down things and you have the time. And it's like, you do not need to have brand new clothes. You do not need to have cable. You do not, there's so many things that we've been taught that are normal that we need. We fill our life with crap. And all we have is filling excuses and crap. And then when we cut the fat, we cut the crap. Then all we do have time left for is the priorities. And a lot of people, you know what they do? They hide behind the crap because then they have to face the reality that I'm sitting here, I have the next 3 hours to do something. Am I going to watch Netflix or am I going to take care of myself? And that's how I look at, like, for me, being lower income and, building my business with no bank loan at a young age in my dance studio, no family support, no money loans from friends, and just like vampire from friends in their 20s because I was like, not strong enough mentally, emotionally to be like, bye. Now I am. Bye, please. And so building that business at a young age, it's like I didn't have a lot of anything I made. I had to reinvest in the business. And so I wasn't out, like you said, I wasn't out partying on the weekends. I wasn't fucking spending, $20 in alcohol. So it's like, cut the smoking, cut the alcohol, cut the coffee day, make coffee at home, make your own food, don't buy takeout. It's amazing how much when you go 50 a month or 100 a month, how much that adds up. And
it's crazy.
And slowly, you don't have to go all fucking balls deep and buy a Bowflex or something. People think you need to buy all that. You really don't. So
no.
Yeah, I mean, we're on the same page. And I mean, you're a testament to that. We're starting your gym too during this time. And even me with my home gym, like, so there was a dream of mine to have a home gym for a long time and never thought I'd be able to afford it. And so every time I walk by, I just feel so privileged and blessed. And I feel like I carry through. And
Yeah.
I feel like shit most of the time they come down. I'm in pain. Like my baby's heavy, and I have like 3 stories. I got to carry him up all day, and he's like 30 pounds. And I'm
Yeah.
like, sometimes my hands are like, oh, you know. Oh, by the way, back to hammies. When you see a guy with a big ass and big hammies, I'm like, how you doing? How you
Mm-hmm.
shaking that ass? You're like, I was supposed to smack it. Anyways, because you see guys that have like ginormous quads and chest, like somebody just injected them with air, like they remind me of
Yeah.
tires. And then from the back, they're just flat.
Mm-hmm. There's nothing like a man with the glutes and
The
hammies.
glutes, that big booty. So, anyways, what is your favorite part of being a strongman coach? And like, why specifically do you coach strongman? I mean, there's so many other disciplines you could do, right? So,
I think like this is it's my passion. It's what I was meant to do. There's nothing else. I've gone through a lot of jobs and I had a really good career back home. And, I had everything going on for me. I had the shift works, I had the money, like the pension, everything was going. And I was like, I was still not at my happy spot. And I tell this now to everybody, but it's a hard thing to do. But if you're not happy waking up and go to your job, then you're doing something wrong. And when I first started being like a full-time coach is when I was like, this is where I'm at. Like, I love seeing people succeed. Like, when my clients PR, I PR, and that feeling is undescribable. I have women's from everywhere in North America, and like, honestly, like, I would, if I could time travel and be there when they're training, like, that would be my jam. Like, I just love seeing women's fucking hit the iron, because the iron has brought me so much self-confidence in my life, in my business, as an athlete, in my love life, in every aspect, that I want to share the iron. Like, iron, like, I know Steph Cohen like had like quote this before, like, women's need the iron, not the vitamin, right?
No
It's
one
the
needs the
iron. The
dick.
barbell has changed my life. And now that I see how my programming with the iron tours, females and males, I have males athletes as well, how it's changed their lives, just makes like, and it makes me
yeah.
like, yeah, that's what life is.
It made me, when I first started hitting barbells, and this is something like I say a lot, and because of my disability, I had no balance. Like I have, it's affected my learning disabilities and my speech, because I severely injured myself and banged my head a lot as a kid because of my scoliosis. So I couldn't walk and I couldn't stand properly, and I'd fall, like my
Shit.
body, my
Yeah.
legs would just give out underneath me, and then I would fall downstairs, like upstairs, downstairs, even into my mid-20s. Yeah, it was really bad. And so, I was depressed most of my life, because I was like, well, I want to do these athletic things I'll never be able to. And I spent a lot of time in a rural town in the pool, because that's all we had. And I to this day believe swimming and bicycling, just especially the swimming, saved my life in terms
of course,
becoming a paraplegic.
Yeah.
Because people don't believe like, there's nobody have that ability to do this stuff. And it's like, no, man, dance, yoga, and swimming fucking saved my life. But
I'll believe it.
With the barbells, like when I first started training, I was really sad. I would start crying at the gym, because I realized that my entire life, especially my 20s, everything, every shitty voice in my head and everything I thought I couldn't do was fucking bullshit. And I cannot believe, like my resume too. Like I like to look at my before and after I had kids and after I had a strongman. What I've accomplished, like me being able to do this stuff, this podcast and techie stuff, which is hard with my disability, I'm able to do stuff. And I 1000% believe that is related to lifting barbells. 1000%, because you can't fuck around. When that barbell's in front of you, you either do it or you go home. There's no maybe. There's no I feel sad today.
No. And if you do like, and this is what I teach my athletes, is like the second, and like I think out of all my compounds, like out of all the compounds, the squat and deadlift are obviously the ones that determined. Like when you rock out with that squat, the second you have a negative thought, you're fucked.
Yeah, totally.
The second you grab that deadlift bar on the floor and you're like, I can't do it, you won't do it. Yep. I mean, there's an extent, like, okay, if you have like a plate on and you're very strong and whatever, but it'll be shit form. It'll be slower. It won't be effective. So then you're not getting better, right? So I really think that the second you start chalking up, putting your belt on, or getting ready to lift, is where you need to really focus on your positive thoughts. I can do it. And I can do it. I'm going to achieve it. This is going to feel great. After your lift, what do you think about? You're thinking about, this was awesome. I crushed it. Fuck yeah. And these are just 6 thoughts right now that I'm coming out when I'm just pulling out 6 positive thoughts. And then it's scientifically proven that we have thousands of negative thoughts a day, right? As human beings. So just being in the gym for an hour, and then you have like let's say hundreds of positive positive thoughts, you're gonna go home, and then the snowball effects just keeps going, right? You get home, you talk about your awesome day, you eat awesome, you feel awesome. This is 2-3 hours after. So fuck yeah, the iron can change your mindset. Yeah, it can change your life, right?
Whenever you say like certain words, I'm like, I can totally tell what generation we grew up with. Like, awesome! Like I'm just thinking of GIFs and TV shows, movies, and it makes me laugh.
My mom would be like, Sam, what are you saying?
My grandma would say something like,
"Oh
that's your real voice." Like my grandma gets all mad and shit because she understands like pop culture. She'd be like, "What is that voice, Stephanie?" And I'd be like, "Grandma, it's the very cool voice I use sometimes." Okay, you know what I mean? It's
yeah. That's
oh
funny.
So, anyways, you were like, guys, she's amazing, by the way, at interviews because like she's like just flowing into everything, and I never sent her these questions before, so she's just it's amazing. So I have one more question left after this one, but and then we're gonna wrap it up. And like I said, thank you to everyone who's still listening so far. At the end of the month, we're doing Ask the Panda segment, so you'll have a chance to actually answer questions from maybe some of the stuff you heard today on the show, or you've checked out on her website, or other stuff you're checking out. You know, bounce it off of her. That's what she's there for. And also, if you're looking at getting coaching services from her online or in person, then you can totally pop on and ask her and questions and learn more. So now you said it earlier, the transformational change you've seen in clients has really meant a lot to you, and I can attest to that too. Just even like said, being a choreographer is like when I see someone who is like eating healthier and they've cut out abusive friends and they're doing less addictive things, drugs, whatever, because of death. There's no bigger reward than that. So I wanted to know if there are any who are two things. Who inspires you or gives you that kind of like insane motivation or like kind of chokes you up, you're not saying to me until and what are some of the clients that you've seen transformational change with? Like what are some stories of people that you've seen in your coaching, that you were like,
so inspirational, like does it have to be people that
like
lift?
Somebody up or is no, but I mean somebody who's struggling, that you were coaching with something in their life, and it's not just about weight, but just their life was kind of in the shambles, or even just confidence wise, and what it did for them, the coaching.
Yes. Can like a lot, but there is some. So I work here in town with a child services team where they do housing for kids that were brought from either the reserves up north, or they are taken out of their families. Sorry, I don't even know how to say it properly, but like
I'll help you with that.
Yeah, so it's like the kids I want to say indigenous or indigenous. Yes. Okay.
Aboriginal. It's okay because they all have their own terms, so it's all
like
good.
It's most of the population here in Thunder Bay, and I am so fortunate because I have a handful of teens that came up to me and they're in really rough spots, and we were able to give them a safe spot to come here. And at first it was so hard. It was really hard to keep them entertained for the hour. It was hard to keep them focused, and they were always like talking about like their trip that they were going to do this weekend. And I'm talking about a drug trip, right? Like, oh, I'm going to do this acid, and like like it was so for me that was hard. But the second that I took a big step back, as in like, okay, yes, you are professionalism, but put yourself at their level for a second. So then I started talking more about like, you want to talk about this today? We're going to talk about it. And then I kind of like took the subject and tried to change it into a positive, different way. And then we would be lifting. And then the more I would work with them, the less between set that we would be talking about negative stuff and the party, the lifestyle. It would be more about, well, do you think I can lift this now? Like, they did the 100-pound squat. They're like, you think I can do 135? And I'm like, of course you can. I'm like, what do you think that you'll need to do to build up to that, right? And they're like, I'm like, maybe, don't go partying this weekend and we'll see how you feel on Monday. Kind of like just things like that, little things. And the teams that we are working here in Thunder Bay, it's just it kind of changed who I've become as a coach, as in like being more aware of people's background. And it's helped me and Max become so much better with dealing with issues that we haven't probably dealt with, which makes it hard if you haven't. But taking a step back and really focusing on what the issue here is in town has made us like, and they now, because of the lockdown, it's unfortunate, but I just dropped off a few gifts at their houses because they all live in houses, like there's 5 of them, and they send me a message and they're crying, or they'll FaceTime me and they're like, you have no idea how I miss you guys. Like, you guys have changed my life. And they're 14
Yeah.
and 15-year-old
No.
women's,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
I think by far that is the biggest, most like the biggest and the most satisfying impact that we've had on kids so far, or any clients. But that's
Yeah.
not being said where I've helped how many athletes get out of, or not out, but help their PTSD and come out of, you know, really rough spots. Like, where I'm, and they probably find me annoying. I say that now, like, when I write down my online program, I'm like, you fucking got this. No, like, like, you will break the bar tonight. And I'm so
You're like,
like
I
hyped up when
know.
let's go. And then boom, the next day they're like, oh my God, you're so great. Like, you're like, you know, like, I just crushed my workout. And I'm like, this is great. Tomorrow we do the same thing, right? And then
Yeah.
it's a snowball effect. If you want to be a good coach, you just gotta, don't be a robot. Like, be very sincere, and if the iron has changed you, then help and just pass it along. Like,
Yeah.
I've been really fortunate to have like really good coaches. Like, so they taught me, or I really, you pick what you like, right? So I've had numerous coaches. There's things that you like and things that you don't. But if you want to become a good coach, you have to go and pick those things that you really like, and get better at it, and, you know, make yourself that coach that you want to be. Like, don't
Yeah.
just say, I want to be a great coach. Be a great coach. Don't just say, I want to be there for my clients. Like, actually be there for them.
Yeah.
And then you can see impacts. Like, I've had really great impacts on a lot of people, and it sounds cocky, but it
Yeah.
feels amazing to say. Yeah.
No, I mean, it's about that extra step. So I want to say something, and I don't bring it up unless I hate bringing it up. Actually, just so you guys know, it's not about empathy or something. It's just because I feel like when it's appropriate. So, you know, for me, like, I was a foster care kid from the time I was 12 to 17. I was on independent living, and I had extreme complex trauma and PTSD. A lot of that was related to a lot of different things, like being bullied, being abused in the system, coming
Yep.
from, you know, abusive home when I was a
Yep.
kid, being bullied as a kid by my peers and my school teachers for my disabilities because they didn't understand them back then. That's still no excuse to be an asshole. But anyways,
No.
anyways, so like for me, my I had like a foster mom for a brief time, and she's like, she runs an agency now, which is crazy, but she was studying social working and kinesiology and stuff, and I didn't know that, 'cause I was just a kid. And she would make me laugh, because she would like walk around the group home and she'd be just like doing lunges and shit, and I wanted to look like her so bad, because she looked like this gorgeous, super tall, blonde Barbie babe bombshell, still does, but she's not aging. She's just gorgeous, like something out of a magazine. And I was like, I want to look like that one day. And I had always struggled with my weight, not because I overate, but because of my disabilities. Like, it's hard for me to move consistently.
Yeah.
And the pain was so bad, I actually couldn't go to school most of the time. And I was like on a lot of drugs just for pain management.
Wow.
So it was really bad. Yeah, I couldn't get out of bed most of the time, and I couldn't sleep. The pain was so bad. I used to grind my teeth at night because I was in so much pain. So I had to get me like a mouth break. I had to like start taking melatonin just to conk out.
Wow.
I couldn't focus in school, and they put a learning disability on top of that. So it was just a hot mess. But the reason why I bring this up is because I grew up in foster care with like Aboriginal kids, and my foster sisters were always Aboriginal and from reserves. And like, I consider having her influence and starting to weightlift at 13 was a pinnacle time for me, because no one in my circle or growing up was into fitness. None of them. And that, like, my brother ended up starting to bodybuild and do stuff and get in shape after that. But it's like, he now needs to do that again. But like, I just think about the collateral like influence that had through my whole life, and how I own a dance studio now and all these different things.
Yep.
It's like, what if I didn't have her in my life, right, as an influence, right? I
So
mean, really,
true.
probably on the streets or dead.
Yeah.
That is a fact. That is a fact. It was, no, you're stronger. You had, I don't know, like, it was really bad.
It's so true.
So, and all it takes is one person and one influence. And I think for me, my heart breaks for kids in reserves, and the social isolation and the lack of resources, like clean water. It's just wrong. Like, it is wrong. Just people on reserves, as Canadians, we should not be okay with it, despite the past. It doesn't matter. Is like, nobody. We shouldn't allow people to live in slums. Like, we shouldn't be okay with that. So, but you do have, people underestimate their influence, because we think our influence is the number of followers we have and how many friends we have, and our looks and all this other superficial crap. And there's kids that I taught that are now dance instructors, and I never saw that for them, but it was just because they said, well, someone like you, my size, was teaching, and that was enough for them. So I personally, I didn't know that about you. I really want to thank you, because I feel like, you know, as a former youth in care and an advocate for youth in care now, and an anti-bullying ambassador for Canada, there's a lot of things I do, a lot of advocacy and philanthropy work. And I don't talk about, like I said, unless I think it's relevant, but you'd never underestimate that power of that one conversation, that one coaching session, that 2 months with somebody. There's people there was this girl that was in my dance crew, and I thought she was mad at me, and she stopped talking for years. And then she messaged me one day, and she was really sad. She said, the time that you were teaching me was the best time in my life. And it healed a part of my soul, because I thought I had failed her. And I was like, oh my God. And she's like, if you ever do those dance classes again, I'll be there. And I was like, I fucking love to have you in my dance crew again, dude. So, but obviously the lockdown, right? And I miss my dance family. I miss teaching dance. And my burlesque shows and stuff I did it was all about mentorship and transformational change. It wasn't just about dancing sexy. It was about, just like with the barbell, like women taking ownership of themselves. And dance allows you, anything creative, artistic, it allows you to express yourself when you don't have words. And that's what dance did for me, and bodybuilding when I was a kid, because I was so fucking angry, and I was so confused, and I was so sad. And the only time I was happy when I was exercising. I used to run. I don't know how it get around me, but I grew up in I lived in Pembina, so I'd run in fields and shit at 10 o'clock at night. And I was like, well, if I run really fast, someone will kill me. So that was actually a motivation in my 16-year-old time. And my false mom would she'd laugh at me because I'd
squeeze your butt cheeks and run real fast.
I did, and I wanted, because I was a teenager, I wanted to get guys driving by woohoo, ow. Yeah. So then I had really good form, and was titties out, butt out, stomach it, and she was all about that. So anyways, I'm really grateful for that. And I think that, for someone who's been through that, I think that what you're doing is really powerful. And I just want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for being you. Thanks. I want to thank you for sharing your story and continuing to be you. And I think you're very unique, and your story is special and it's powerful. And I would absolutely love to partner with you to do, so I'll talk about you later, but I've applied for some grants called Gem Power Project. And it's to work with teen girls to do strongman classes and workshops, and doing them in schools. Sweet. And especially inner city and lower income and in rural areas, actually in reserves. That'd be really cool. So something to talk about. But in closing, Sam is amazing. She's going to be, like I said, on the Ask the Panda segment. So, log into that. And I know it's been an hour and a half, but people, you could spend an hour and a half binge watching Netflix and have gained no knowledge. And now you've gotten to know a really powerful, amazing woman, and hopefully learn something. And we are so thankful that you listen into us, because we can't help women and help each other if we isolate ourselves. Especially with this lockdown, we are a team, we're a village, we're a family, and it doesn't matter where you're from. If it's not about being blood related, right? We all have the same heart. We're all in this together. Yeah. There's back. So, but
that being said, thank you too, right? It takes people like you to make the word go around, and it takes you to for me to speak like this, and to be able to express my my story and my background and stuff. It takes people for you like you to dig that out of us and kind of show it to the world, right? So thank you too, right?
Yeah, no, I just, people like you really inspire me, and my heart wants to know why you are the way you are. And I think those stories need to be heard, because you can't do it on social media. There's only so much you can say. So yes. I really appreciate you with your busy schedule investing time. So once again, to learn more about Sam, check out her website, and please visit our website, PandaStrong Podcast. .weebly.com. We're going to have our official domain when our merch store is up in March. And follow us, please, on IG and Facebook. Please give us a 5-star rating if you're listening to us on Google, Apple, or Spotify, any of the podcast channels, because then it shows up in algorithms. And like I said, I created this platform to give a consistent, collective, one-stop shop resource for women entering strength sports. It's just kind of like a guide. They can be connected with coaches and the people and things they need, just to save you from the struggle of getting started. Yeah. And this episode and all of our past episodes can be found on our YouTube channel, which is also PandaStrong Podcast. We always uploaded our episodes there first, because they take longer to show up once they're processed on the other channels. And we will be offering Canada's first all-strength sports virtual strength competition. I'm hoping I can get Sam in to do a virtual workshop before, or be one of our judges. And so, stay tuned for that. That's going to be mid-June this summer. And, you can get 24 access to strength training and discount codes and training gear and apparel on Canada's our Facebook group, which is Strong Women of Canada. And don't forget to join us on the last Sunday, like I said, of this month, to tune in to ask, her your questions. Yes. And thanks for listening, everyone, and have a wonderful evening.
Ciao. Thank you.